names because I'm terrible with it. Mervin Turner, the manager.
That's it.
October Red Boxing here at Eastside Gym. We're here with Danny Quartermaine that's just had his weigh-in on target, I believe. We're here with his trainer, Edwin Cleary, and his manager, Mervin Turner. Not Marvin Gaye, but Mervin Turner. Right, talk to us a little bit about yourself, Danny. We've got to introduce yourself to our viewers. Obviously, you've got a fight tomorrow night in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Let the viewers know a little bit about you, how you started, how many fights, etc., etc.
Yeah, so this is my second pro fight tomorrow night. As an amateur, I had 89 amateur fights, boxed everyone and anyone, winning numerous titles, Midlands titles, Central England bouts, English titles, boxed the best of the best pretty much. And then last year decided to turn over, have my first pro fight again at Villa Park, so we're going back there tomorrow. And then obviously we had a bit of a stop and start season with obviously COVID and that, but back to it now, tomorrow, ready for tomorrow.
How's your preparation been going for it? Because obviously, like you said, we've had the lockdown. How's your preparation been going for tomorrow?
Luckily enough, to be fair, I've not stopped since, to be fair. Training non-stop. Obviously, Edwin being only local as well, being able to just train with me anyway. The gyms have been open for myself as well to go train, so training's been non-stop and preparation for this fight's been on point. To be fair, I had enough time for it as well, so plenty of preparation.
Edwin, over to you. Talk to us a little bit about your fighter, your style, how he came to your attention and why you're his trainer.
He's been in the gym since he was about 9, 10.
Yeah, 9 and 10.
He's all action. He jumped straight in at elite level and just short of 90 bouts, amateur bouts, losing 15. Some of them are a little bit dubious, but that's what every coach says. I think he's one of these kids that they're missing out on somewhere. No one's looking at him, and hopefully he starts performing tomorrow night. Tomorrow night.
Very experienced, 90 bouts. That is a hell of a 89. One off. Major difference, but it's really that is a lot of experience. You are bringing a hell of a lot of experience to the game. Over to you, Mervin. Then you're his manager. What made you pick him?
Speaks for itself. Danny's a quality fighter, very, very suited to the pros. To be honest, he probably should have turned over earlier, but his style is very suited to the pros. The kid's going to go places, as simple as that. He's got everything. He can fight, he can box, he can sell tickets like it's going out of fashion, and with the right opportunities. Unfortunately, with COVID, we had a programme of events lined up for him, and COVID put paid to that, including TV dates and so forth. So it's like starting over again, which is a real shame. It's real frustrating for Danny. He's been through a real traumatic time, as every boxer in Britain has, and probably around the world. But we go again now, fresh start, back to where it started. So it's almost like making his debut all over again. But
same place,
same place, same everything. So now we go from here, and it's a 4-round fight tomorrow. If he comes through that as we expect him to, then we'll step him up, and we'll be looking for the next stage of titles within the next few months.
And a credible matchmaker as yourself with experience, high-level promotion. How have you matched the fighter for him?
Well, at the moment it's been very difficult matching because of COVID, but the real matchmaking comes in when you get to area title level and beyond, and that's when the art matchmaking comes in. The first few fights for any young pro is just to get them to perform under the lights, get used to the pro game, which is totally different to the amateur game, as Danny's found out, I'm sure. So it's getting through these first few fights and then move up through the titles and move on. Danny's a quality kid, and he will go places, and before long he will be the name on everybody's lips, I can guarantee that.
Wow, that is a good sale there. You have got a lot. You've got a lot to live up to with that kind of credible CV, and obviously support from your manager. Talk to us a little bit about your style of fighting. Obviously Mervin's told us that you are a boxer. and you're also a fighter. Let us know a little bit about your style.
When he was amateur, he had a couple of novice bouts and then he went straight in at the elite level. So he didn't have time. These kids are about 40, some of them 40 bouts, and he had 4 or 5. So he didn't have time to really develop. So what he decided, and his style, is just pretty much get in there and work. And that's what got him the success. Put him under pressure from round 1. As we reached the peak of the seniors, we had quite a few discussions, and we were saying, if you're going to give yourself and have a long time in this sport, you're going to need to learn to box. He's been doing it. He's been doing it over maybe his latter 10 bouts of the amateurs. Maybe not. People are saying he's not as exciting as he used to was because he's trying to develop a style. And now we're hoping to put it both together. So he can fight when he wants to fight, and then when he can step up and box. That's what we're looking for.
Danny, your style. Elaborate on that.
Well, first few fights probably got a bit of a name for myself. Obviously, just all guns blazing, bull in a china shop sort of thing. I'm only in there to fight and not just put on a show, but obviously do the job and get a win. Obviously, gained a bit of a reputation throughout the years of maybe one to avoid. Especially like I said, jumping into like the elites so early on, I had to up my game to make sure I was competing against the best. And I think it's brought me on and gained experience. Whereas you get a lot of fighters in the amateurs, you look at a record and it's clean sailing, but they're probably not fought some of the good lads out there. They're very much looked after. Whereas I've been chucked in at the deep end almost, but I've learned and gained a lot more experience from doing that. So, but a long time to come, and obviously the skills are sort of paying off now, and I'm able to work on other bits and bobs of my fighting that I probably didn't have a chance to do so early on.
Well, you're obviously a good boxer because we've heard from various people that you're a massive ticket seller.
Yeah.
Ticket selling is probably one of the hardest things to do in boxing. You know, I've heard of guys that have started out, guys have promised to pay for tickets, buy tickets, and they never turn up. And those fighters end up walking away with sometimes nothing, at a loss, or 50 quid in their back pocket. How hard is it for you as a pro fighter to build up that momentum to be able to be that ticket seller that you are now?
Well, I'm quite looking around Leamington. Obviously, it's quite a big box anyway.
A lot of people don't like it and they want to come and see him get hit.
Some might do, but no, Leamington's quite big for the boxing anyway. So obviously we've run on turf and that. But so there's a lot of people that follow me anyway, and I'm one of them characters where I'm out and about a lot anyway. So I get to meet new people. I'm not wanting to shy away from having a chat with someone. So they're all there to come and follow and support me. So ticket selling, it's not the easiest game. Creates a little bit of stress, dropping tickets off and whatnot, but it's all part of the game. And I suppose the ticket selling is probably not that hard. It's just delivering the tickets and making sure you got everything all in one go. So.
And tell us a little bit about your opponent that you're fighting tomorrow. What do you know about him?
So from Senegal originally, he's a southpaw, so a bit of a change in stance. Obviously I'm mainly orthodox, I can switch. So we've been setting a bit of a game plan up in the week to go about that. We've watched a few of his fights. He's still quite new into the game. He's only had 5 pro fights, so still both very early on in his career. But we've watched enough of him to know what his game plan is and how he goes about his boxing.
Yeah, well, we won't reveal those secrets, but it's always good. Have you checked his record on how many orthodox? I mean, orthodox is the common stance in boxing. We know that.
Yeah.
But has he any of those fighters that he's fought? Have they been switchers?
One of them
One's been a switcher, the other one's a southpaw.
Right.
Not that I've been
Okay.
doing any research on it.
Well, this is it. This is part of the game plan, and this is how you nullify what they're going to bring to the game. So it's good to see that you've actually looked at that opponent and who he's fought. Because it's all well and good saying what your skills are, but what's he done?
Yeah, what's he doing?
And what's your plan to nullify that? Because at the end of the day, you want to win, and it's nice to win in an emphatic fashion.
No, definitely.
You know, to really show your skills as a boxer.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. I think as a team, Danny and Edwin, you know, make a brilliant team. He's full of experience, an ex-pro himself. A bit modest with it, but you know. But Danny is your ultimate professional. He's dedicated, he's focused. You know, he doesn't leave any stone unturned. He thinks about everything. So he's going to go through everything himself when a fight comes up. So yeah, obviously I can't say how we're going to fight, but It's been well thought through, and Danny's thought through, and that sort of thing. But going back to what you're saying, it's a crying shame about tickets for a lot of fighters. I think two things. Danny touched on Leamington Spa. You know, they've been waiting for the next Randolph Turpin. You know, I'm not saying Danny's a Randolph Turpin just yet, but he's on his way. So they're getting behind him. But he's built that ticket sales up through his amateur career. He's a fantastic ticket seller as an amateur because of his style. Yes, he was chucked in, as Edwin says, you had to move him forward quickly. He had to go at 100 miles an hour and very aggressive. People love that sort of style. Now he's added over the last few years, he's added the boxing to it. So, you know, he's become, if you like, the complete fighter, and will go up the ranks very, very quickly because of that. Ticket sales for everyone is hard. For Danny, you know, he's a fantastic ticket seller. So it's perhaps easier for Danny because of that amateur experience. When you think of some of the amateurs, they're turning over after 10 fights and done nothing.
Some before.
So even those that have done 20 fights, 30 fights, Danny's had
89,
90 fights,
wow.
Hard fights. He's fought all levels.
All 50-50s, all 50-50s.
All 50-50 fights. So that's going to stand him there in good stead and really propel him in the pro ranks. And you know, I hope to God that we carry on now. This COVID's behind us, and we can push Danny forward to where he really belongs. You know, if right was right, Danny'd be sitting here today as an area champion. But we've had 18 months out the ring.
And that's it.
Has everybody.
Yeah, and that's and that's the thing. Everybody's had to stop at the same time, so it's not like, except in the amateur, every pro has sort of had the same sort of start line.
Absolutely.
And we're not going to talk about looking over your opponent because you haven't fought him yet. But what are your goals? What is your aim over the next 2 years?
Well, within the next 2 years, like Mervin said, we're looking at titles. We're looking to at least be pushing for area titles within the next year or so. I mean, we had the British title fight for Super Featherweight one last weekend, and I'm watching that, and I think possibly why shouldn't I be competing for that sort of level in the next 2-3 years? Easy.
Should be.
Well, you've got to remember, you can put on any TV, Sky, DAZN, Channel 5, and there's people on there that Danny's boxed. And looking, there's loads of kids. Heavyweights has been, you know, this kid not only trains out, he gets up in the morning, trains, then he goes into 4 days at work, and then he comes back and trains in the evening. And 3 or 4 days a week he'll go after my gym and go and do some strength. You know, that takes some doing. And he's been doing that since I've known him, and that's why his record is the way it is.
And you mentioned that about you've watched the TV, you've saw people on there that you've fought as an amateur. There's a little bit of a myth. You beat them as an amateur, you'll definitely beat them as a pro. Talk to me about that as a boxer, and is that necessarily true?
It's not always the case. I think things do change, obviously, in the pro game in terms of, obviously, the length of a fight changes. Obviously, you're going from 3 freezes max in the amateurs, you go up to then 10 rounds, 12 rounds as a pro. So that all changes, but I think that falls into my sort of ball game. I've got the stamina to be able to last them sort of rounds. Probably better on later in the fight than I probably would be right at the start. Because I've got that engine to go all the way. So it'd be interesting to fight some lads that maybe I have fought in the amateurs. Whether they're my weight is a different story, because a lot of them have either moved up or packed in. So I've managed to maintain my weight throughout my sort of boxing career, really. So that's probably one of my main strengths, is I'm always on the ball, always checking my weight, never having to try and lose 6-7 kilo before trying to fight, which, you know, stops you from training up to your full capacity.
And it's that discipline, isn't it?
Yeah, discipline.
That's what a lot of people don't understand, the discipline, the focus that it takes to stay in the ring, to stay fit. I mean, it's a dangerous sport. You hear every few months that somebody loses their life in the ring. It's usually at the lighter weights as well. So staying fit, staying on your purpose is really important.
Absolutely, I think you're right there, and I think making weight and doing it properly. There's too many kids out there don't make weight properly. They drain themselves down, and that's when accidents happen. And unfortunately,
The dehydration.
dehydration is you know, a killer in this sport. Danny does it the right way, and he does it bit by bit. He's come in today, he's weighed in bang on weight, and not even had a drink afterwards. You know, he's walking around at that weight.
Natural.
So he's got there, you know, and you know, at featherweight he's going to be a very, very dangerous animal, and take up the point on amateurs and moving into the pros and so forth. They're two different sports. They really are two different sports, and you'll see some amateurs that struggle in the pros, and you'll see some amateurs that come through. And I believe Danny's one of them, because he fought like a pro in the amateurs and still won all them fights. You know, so coming into the pros, he's really going to come into his own, and the way he does things is absolutely perfect. His attention to detail, honestly, is second to none. I can't go on about him more than that, because he just does everything the right way, and that's the difference. You know, it's the small things that make champions out of ordinary boxers, and Danny is a champion.
I absolutely agree with that, because I have seen amateurs that have turned over pro and they're very forwards and backwards, straight lines, don't really understand the true art of it yet, because they're growing into their style, because it's sort of like been withheld when they've been an amateur, so it's spot on. So it's nice to know that you've already got that pro style, so you'll be walking into this, even though it is your second fight, this is second nature to you, because you've already got that style.
Fighting second nature to me anyway. You know, always up for fighting. You know, obviously, it's better that it's professional boxing now. So, you know, it's something to go about. Whereas, you know, the amateurs, I was fighting some seasons probably 12, 13 times in championships as well. So it's not like I was worried about fighting. And I love fighting anyway. So I'm always wanting to be in the ring and showing everyone what I'm about, really.
Brilliant stuff. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. How can we find you on social media? We need more people to get behind the fighters.
Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, Danny_Quartermaine. Just give us a follow. Keep up to date with how my training's going, how my fight turns out tomorrow, which will be the win. But yeah, just keep in contact and follow what I'm doing.
You know, you see all these just recently this week with the boxer and Wasserman and DAZN, and I think, God, just keep scratching my head. Why are they looking at him? You know, he's got the pedigree. They ain't got to put their hands in their pockets for him, and the kid comes to fight and entertain. That's my look. I just don't get it. But a couple more fights, and I'm pretty sure they come knocking at his door, and then Merv can start saying yes, but we want this and all that.
It gets to the point where I think you've got to start kicking the door off.
Yeah.
Oh, Danny will do that, right? No problem. We'll go through the gears and we'll go through the ranks. And this time next year will be a totally different story. Absolutely certain.
Well, let's all get behind Danny Quartermaine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
October Red Boxing here at Eastside Gym. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Hi, and thank you for watching October Red Boxing. Like, subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications. You can also find us on Instagram at October Red Boxing and on Twitter, October Red UK. And remember, at October Red, we stay ready.